Hello, happy birthday to me and welcome back once again to I Heart Mess, the only YouTube channel that assaults your eyeballs every month with a roundup of the best of the worst celebrity fashion. I'm Emily Kirkpatrick, a professional fashion critic and purveyor of only the most exquisite sartorial swill. Today we're going to be taking a look at all of my favorite things that transpired in the month of July, namely Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom's divorce SponCon, Kim Kardashian's latest high fashion dalliance, that cursed ad for blue jean Eugenics, and a handful of my fashion predictions that have once again come to fruition in the most disastrous of ways, and the only celebrity couple I'm currently shipping. As always, thank you to Ruth Ann Harnish for sponsoring this video and keeping us all neck deep in pop culture detritus. Now, let's take a gander. To begin this month's video, I want to discuss the topic at the forefront of every fashion person's mind right now, the costume department for the Devil Wears Prada reboot. The clothing for that film has gone off to an incredibly rocky start, but I think things are slowly starting to look up for these outfits. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of this attire, I must begin by saying I want to believe. I want to love every fashion moment this film has in store for us. But based off the paparazzi images that have been rolling out thus far, I'm having some serious concerns. Perhaps much like Ryan Murphy before them, all of these shots are actually just camera tests meant to stir up controversy and interest in the program. But as I said in regards to American Love Story last month, that seems like an extremely generous read of what's actually going on here. The first outfit we've seen from Meryl Streep I think is solid enough, and while people were getting all worked up over the Kalina Strata blinged out water bottle, I think it's pretty obvious that that's not Miranda Priestley's but Meryl's personal canteen, and I think that rules. Besides, the real problem here is not a $100 water bottle, but rather this round toe platform pump. To my mind, Miranda is unquestionably an old school stiletto till I die kind of gal, a la former Vogue Paris editor-in-chief Corinne Reutfeld, who posted a very punk rock x-ray of her twisted spine last month and yet continues to wear heels like it's an Olympic sport. As for Annie Hathaway, much like Meryl, I guess everything going on here is technically fine. I'm just waiting and wishing for something truly thrilling to transpire. This is a fashion industry film after all. I want to be stupefied with glamour. Anne's vintage Jean-Paul Gaultier pinstripe suit is pretty unassailable, but what I must assail is this choice in boot and handbag to go with it. Why a vintage Coach Messenger worn at the hip? Perhaps this is the jaded The Summer I Turned Pretty viewer within me, but I can't help but feel like this has got to be a paid placement. Especially when Anne could just be carrying this $4,000 Valentino shoulder bag she's been toting around in every other scene. The redone by Ford 2022 jumpsuit is also, whatever, although quite oddly styled in my opinion. Why the chunky Chanel Tiva? Anne has been wearing these in a lot of paparazzi photos from set, so I'm hoping they're just her in-between shot slippers. But I fear they are a contractual piece of footwear in the vein of the "Are you wearing the Chanel boots" meme from the first film. The good news is that since these initial outfits were revealed, we've seen a lot more looks from Anne that I find totally acceptable, if quite forgettable. Although I must add that she needs to get her hand the hell out of this skirt cargo pocket immediately. That I find unforgivable. On the subject of reboots nobody needs, Lindsay Lohan has been making the most out of her Freaky Friday 2 press tour with copious homages to the original film, playing millennials' love of nostalgia like a fiddle. Most recently, she wore a custom Ludovic de Saint-Cernin dress inspired by the one she wore in the final scene of the original film. But most important to me was this pint-sized $6,000 Judith Leiber guitar clutch she was carrying that is meant to harken back to the full-sized axe Jamie Lee Curtis wields on the 2003 Freaky Friday movie poster. While it is my staunch belief that Blake Lively and the Kardashians have ruined the impact of a well-placed novelty Judith Leiber bag due to aggressive overuse, a good size joke is eternal, and this one really hits for me. Although because I have an internet broken brain, it did also instantly remind me of YouTuber Colleen Ballinger's iconic Toxic Gossip Train non-apology apology video, composed of a haunting ukulele solo. My one note here is that I would have loved to have seen Lindsay do a lot more intentionally campy poses with this micro guitar on the red carpet, but I suppose that level of cheesiness is really more Blake's domain. Another press tour for a movie remake currently capturing the public's imagination is The Naked Gun, and I need to discuss all the public canoodling transpiring betwixt our dear friends Pamela Anderson and Liam Neeson. These two better not be playing games with our hearts. I feel exactly the same way about their promotional will they won't they dynamic as I did when rumors about Meryl Streep and Martin Short dating first kicked off during their press tour for Only Murders in the Building. I don't know why I am so invested in these particular relationships, but I desperately need them to be real. I fear Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell have kicked off a dangerous trend, and my heart simply cannot take this being another PR stunt to get me to watch this film. So if it is, you better stop it right now. I need hope. I need to believe in love. I need these two to be dating for realsies. When not attempting to decipher this duo's body language and micro expressions, I was also struck by this particular shot of Pam in motion. I'm obsessed with the calligraphy-esque silhouette that's being created here, and the leopard print pillbox hat with the heel perfectly bookends the chicness. I think everything about this image is so editorial. Again, it reminds me of Jonathan Anderson's built-off-the-body paper doll dresses. I'd love to see more of these kinds of 2D graphic shapes layered atop the human form, in addition to all the tumorous protrusions we've been seeing so much of lately. Now, apropos of nothing we've discussed thus far, early last month there were a smattering of fashion shows, including one for Marc Jacobs' latest collection. The designer dressed up numerous celebs like Julia Fox and Ego Woodim in his usual bulbous Cabbage Patch doll dresses, and these heels that I'm obviously obsessed with, as they're shaped exactly like door stoppers. It's like a Mexican pointy boot silhouette applied to a sensible pump. And this photo of Ego attempting to navigate down a flight of stairs in that footwear made me realize that what Fashion Week has really been missing is a live stream of all the people in outlandish attire attempting to weeble wobble around the shows. Especially in inclement weather, can you imagine? Designers need to charge pay-per-view style to watch all of these fashion peacocks seriously struggle upon ingress and egress. The runway show would practically pay for itself. Now, as I've said from the very first day A$AP Rocky and Rihanna got together, receiving the unconditional love and support of such a natural fashion plate has made the rapper believe he possesses that same innate trend-setting ability himself. And unfortunately, he simply does not. While Rocky is unquestionably a fun, experimental dresser, unafraid of taking big fashion risks, sometimes I wish he had a touch more fear in his heart, and this outfit is a perfect example of why. To begin with, these chinos have an inseam only Justin Bieber could love. There was also a lot of speculation online as to what Rocky is wearing atop his t-shirt here, ranging from a back brace to a waist trainer. But I'm almost positive this is just a classic bulletproof vest, which is something he's been known to wear in the past. Although this one feels a touch too slovenly for such a serious piece of self-protective militaristic garb, and I'm personally much more charmed by the idea that Rocky just wanted to look a little extra snatched for summer. But the real reason I wanted to bring this photo to your attention is because the moment I saw Rocky carrying this vintage Louis Vuitton suitcase under one arm like a jumbo clutch, I thought to myself, now why is this cooler and a more persuasive piece of advertising for that brand than anything I've seen Pharrell produce thus far? Time for a Fenty family capsule collection, if you ask me. As for Rocky's better half, I can't express enough how important Rihanna is to my delicate fashion psyche, because when her outfits hit, they hit so unbelievably hard, and always in the most unexpected of ways. I already like this Alaïa dress on the runway because of the padded hip bolster that fuels all my pannier theories. But seeing it paired with her pregnant belly changes this look into something else entirely. It makes all the dimension and unusual curves going on here all the more exaggerated and captivating. And it should come as no surprise that even this couple's kids are already better dressed than the vast majority of A-listers. Rihanna brought her boys to the Smurfs premiere dressed in fresh off the runway baby Dior. It's not only insanely cute, but a genius high fashion coup, as they can now forever say they were the first to wear Jonathan Anderson's debut Dior collection on the red carpet. And I've never seen two more persuasive spokesmodels for a brand. At the beginning of the month, hot on the heels of that ill-fated trip to outer space, Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom officially announced their divorce and then promptly found ways to leverage the split to their advantage. As longtime consumers of my content know, I'm a huge fan of the social media of recently divorced famous men. But I'm here to report that tragically, my new Tom Brady, Orlando Bloom, is not. I saw numerous headlines last month about how Orlando was morosely posting through it after the demise of his marriage, which apparently actually ended months ago. So given my passion for sappy self-help Pinterest quotes, I sprinted to Bloom's Instagram account to see what perverse joy I could wring from it. What I found there, however, was a crappy facsimile of true trite heartbreak, because from the first slide proclaiming that each day is a new beginning, this social media pity party immediately did not ring true to me. I thought to myself, this is a man who is capitalizing off the sudden spate of media attention this divorce announcement has afforded him. That feeling in the pit of my stomach was only amplified as I tapped through to the next slide, which even more vaguely informed me that the important thing is to take the first step. Now I was sure that these were PR traps, but to what end? And then I clicked over to the third and final post that day, and suddenly it all coalesced into a perfect SponCon supernova, because it turns out Orlando was clickbaiting being sad over his breakup to plug his new Amazon TV show. This also certainly explains his insistence on showing up to the Bezos wedding with or without his pop star wife in tow. My ability to sniff out advertorial celebrity behavior is truly a sick gift. Now, if I could just swap that out for any actually useful monetizable skill set. Of course, Orlando wasn't the only one using his newly single status to garner a little extra attention for himself this month. Katy Perry also threw her hat in that ring with an oddly documented date with former Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. I say oddly documented because since when have you known TMZ's paparazzi to just be lurking around Montreal on the off chance they might capture a future political power couple. One or both of these people wanted the public to know about this date. And if that's not enough to convince you, this was very likely staged to distract from all of the things both of these parties are currently embroiled in. Trudeau then prominently attending Perry's concert should be all the confirmation you need. But while I do think this is a relationship built in a marketing boardroom, I must say the pairing also weirdly makes a little too much sense. They really do match each other's corny. Meanwhile, I think TikTok has provided us all with more than enough evidence of why no one should be paying to attend Perry's Lifetimes tour. However, I must say, I feel like the costume design has been getting better and better. This particular outfit is my favorite look so far. It melds Katy's saccharine camp past with this new album's apocalyptic chromatica light aesthetic. The melted and warped peppermint swirls from her iconic 2011 dress are now trapped beneath this layer of soap scum hued latex. And these wads of cotton candy molded into raver boots were practically built to get dingy, attracting dirt and grime wherever they go. I would love to see Katy's attire move further in this direction. I suppose I will now briefly touch upon the denim commercial that is the best PR Eugenics has had in at least 80 years. Although I am loath to discuss this controversy, as that feels like exactly what American Eagle wants. Mostly, I would just like to say that if this is how you found out that Sydney Sweeney is a registered Republican, you're not paying close enough attention. She's never exactly hidden her right-leaning tendencies. I mean, the Blue Lives Matter birthday party aside, she willingly bought a mansion in Florida last summer. What I will say about this ad is at first I thought everyone had to be wildly overreacting. And then I finally watched it and thought, oh no, why does it have such powerful Mengele vibes right from the jump? Wordplay alone is not enough of a justification for what's going on here. This whole situation actually reminded me of Elon Musk sig-hailing twice on a national stage and then trying to play it off as a totally normal non-Nazi hand gesture. Like, listen, do I think this dumb dog whistle American Eagle ad is the hill all liberals should die on? Absolutely not. But I would just like to point out that much like Elon's salute, it is not normal for a blue jean commercial to collectively set off the Nazi alarm bells in all of our brains. You are not crazy. We all know exactly what we saw and exactly what the intention was behind it. I do not believe any part of this was an accident. I think American Eagle thought they could get away with a little tongue-in-cheek white supremacy in this political climate. I think they thought they could cynically rage bait and then shrug it off and keep playing to both sides. Anyway, I mostly bring all of this up just to say that this heinous ensemble Sydney wore immediately following that controversy to the premiere of her film Americana feels like exactly the punishment she deserves. In fact, looking back, pretty much everything her stylist Molly Dixon has put her in over the last couple of years is its own form of self-flagellation. Sydney really doesn't need our disapprobation over a little Aryan nation SponCon. She's doing a great job cascading herself all on her own, one red carpet at a time. The forehead foreshortening headband in particular feels like a hate crime. I've also long warned white women about dabbling in these types of jaundiced pastel color palettes as they inevitably bring out some unflattering undertones. Also, having Trump and the Proud Boys publicly endorse your sexiness seems like its own special type of hell. And if you've been with me since at least February, this latest ad from American Eagle should come as no surprise, as you already know that AE's marketing team has been moving weird. I was already side-eyeing them back then for that full-throated lie they told about Kendrick Lamar's jeans at the Super Bowl, that they then paid DeuxMoi to publish as a blind item. So this Sydney ad and their failure to backtrack on it to me just seems like par for the disingenuous course. Never one to be outdone, Kim Kardashian launched her own controversial bit at Relevancy this month with her new Skims face trainers. And again, I can't help but feel the Kardashians have spies planted within the I Heart Mess camp, because have I or have I not been yelling at this lady for months and months now to lean into the makeover madness of it all and embrace the post-op plastic surgery aesthetic in her street style. Which brings me to my first point, why is Kim not modeling this ineffectual skull shapewear herself? Where are the staged pap shots of her all face sphinxed up? She could have spawned a million incredible memes promoting this thing if she would just allow herself to look ugly for 5 seconds. A huge missed opportunity for easy virality just by wearing one of these out a couple of days before they officially go on sale. Regardless, I love when Kim immediately proves me right. As I wrote in my newsletter and told you all last month, Skims is just Kim repackaging and selling back to her fans her own cosmetic procedures in the form of overpriced spandex. And then she went and launched this old-timey toothache special that doesn't actually snatch anything at all, and yet exemplifies has everything I've ever accused her of. Gorgeous. Can't wait for her to launch a full coverage version of this ace bandage balaclava that has a picture of her own face printed on top of it. And when she does, you better believe I will be suing. The last thing I want to say about Kim, and then I promise we're done, is about her appearance at Demna's final couture show for Balenciaga. Once again, please clock the recession indicator latex fabric. This family can't help but replay their own greatest hits. They are obsessed with the self-referential, self-mythologizing fashion moment. They're even fusing eras now, mixing the Yeezy with the Pantashoe to absolutely no effect. But of course, that type of meta-fame commentary is all a part of why Kim K is a spokesperson for Balenciaga to begin with. I just wish they would execute it with a lot more humor and self-awareness. Take, for example, Kim flashing her phone screen to the paparazzi to reveal that she is looking at a photo of herself taken the day before. I think that concept is fun. It's the Narcissus mise en abîme thing we talked about last month that is very much at the core of her particular brand of celebrity, and a rich text for both the brand and Kim to mine. I just want it to be radically more heavy-handed and vain. This is almost too subtle of a tabloid ploy. Next time, why not just stage a candid fan TikTok taken over Kim's shoulder, catching her swiping through 100 identical photos of herself dressed in Balenciaga. Honestly, I also really like the hairstyling clips that have been abandoned in her coif here. It seems like this was probably more of a practical move than an aesthetic one, but Kim is such a heavily shellacked perfectionist when it comes to her glam that there's something about this mistake, even if planned, that feels rather thrilling. It reads as an acknowledgement of the extreme labor that goes into the upkeep of this artifice. I doubt she'd allow it, but I would love to see more of these types of cracks in the facade. And while I do find this stunt casting deeply boring, it's also totally logical. This is Demna's final collection for the brand, and Kim is very much a foundational muse of Demna's Balenciaga universe. In fact, you can currently buy an $825 t-shirt from the brand with her face printed on it, and she's also walked the runway for them poorly in the past. But beyond that, her particular brand of Uber fame touches on themes that run throughout Demna's work related to modern American iconography and its tongue-in-cheek subversion. Like Marilyn before her, Kim has become a 21st century projection of our collective twisted fame fantasy. Infinitely malleable, yet simultaneously an impermeable, instantly recognizable brand. Here she is playing the role of Elizabeth Taylor, and yet she is still obviously, undeniably Kim Kardashian. The same way Alexis Stone attends every Balenciaga runway show, an increasingly convincing drag of other celebrities. Demna seems interested in this easy interchangeability between real and fake, whether it's his knockoff Gucci handbags or these impersonations of famous figures. The caricature is often more interesting than the real deal, and even the real can't help but become caricatures due to the very nature of fame, especially fame warped by history. Like I said earlier, I think it's all very interesting food for thought and a lot of good fodder for the creative direction of the brand, but I just want them to lean into all of it way harder. Really hit people over the head with the simulacrum. And at the very least, if we must continue to stunt cast Kim, she has got to work on improving her runway walk even just a little bit. As for this particular haute couture turn on the catwalk, like I said, the look is an ode to Taylor and Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, hence the white silk slip. Kim is also wearing the late actor's personal diamond pendant earrings from jeweler Lorraine Schwartz's private collection. And you already know Kim loves nothing more than to flaunt a dead American icon's most treasured possessions. I'd be shocked if she didn't buy these straight off Lorraine as soon as the show was over. This wouldn't even be the first piece of Liz's old jewelry in her collection. Kim has literally been buying up that woman's stuff since at least 2011. The year that she died. When I say that Kim's greatest passion is collecting Horcruxes, I don't think people really understand just how deep her own private planet Hollywood actually goes. With these weighty topics now behind us, I'd like to discuss a handful of various ensembles I saw this month that speak directly to trends I've brought up in these videos in the past, and that clearly continue to resonate throughout the Hollywood sartorial sphere. The first being Emma Chamberlain taking all of my jokes about the rise of adult babies and making them all too real. This is somehow even more babyish than anything I could have imagined when first dreaming up this fetish-inspired trend. If you told me Emma Chamberlain's romper was straight from the plus-size toddler section, I wouldn't bat an eye. To be fair, this look is admittedly very cute. I'm just saying it's also circling dangerously close to Fred Armisen on Broad City territory. That Peter Pan collar combined with the puff sleeve on this romper are also giving me serious twee fashion flashbacks. Somewhere out there, Zooey Deschanel's powers are growing stronger by the day. After heaping my praise upon this exquisitely dressed adult film actress at the 2025 Pornhub Awards, I saw the first inkling that the shibari fashions that I've been praying for might actually make their way into the mainstream. As I said 2 months ago, there's something so glamorous yet completely revealing about constructing your outfit entirely out of elaborately knotted ropes. And now actress Joy Sunday has taken the first steps towards making this fantasy a red carpet reality at the Wednesday Season 2 premiere. Sunday wore a bright red knit Alexander McQueen dress that featured a trompe l'oeil shibari-inspired overlay. Now, would I have preferred this with just pure, unadulterated flesh underneath? Of course. But for now, this totally covered up version of my ideal XXX attire will do nicely. It is now my great privilege to announce that we are slowly seeing the rise of visible periods in fashion, and I am absolutely loving it. I previously highlighted Julia Fox's decision to dip dye her panties red for the Mien launch party in May. And then this month, numerous followers sent me a clip about Kenyan Senator Gloria Awoba, who protested period poverty by wearing white, blood-stained pants to Parliament, where she was asked to leave. Further evidence of what a simple yet provocative gesture a period stain can be, and what a powerful form of protest. Also proof that Gloria is a total badass. And then Brooks Nader, who has been on a publicity tear since attending the Bezos Sanchez wedding as part of the famous Friends for Hire contingent, posted a TikTok about getting her period at Wimbledon, showing off her blood-stained khaki skirt to the camera. And call me crazy, but I really think there's something to it. This feels like a way to use fashion to push buttons and be divisive that has yet to be fully exploited. And in a country obsessed with policing women's bodies and legally regulating our gender, I think there's also something incredibly transgressive and cool about shoving the visceral reality of our bodies in their faces. If they want to legislate our periods so badly, they should be forced to grapple with them in public on a daily basis. Also, is this not the very goop fashion I've been begging for? Now someone give me the glam version of this menstruation trend immediately. Next up, here's LeBron James with his tootsies tastefully on full display, teaching Tom Brady a thing or two about male toe cleavage decorum. For quite some time now, friend and fellow fashion journalist Liana Sadenstein has been attempting to awaken the masses to the erotic appeal of the Vibram Five Fingers, which she calls the ultimate body high that starts at the digit. And now finally, this NBA GOAT is vibing with the best of them in a pair of his own. And not just vibing, but elevating the look by nonchalantly incorporating this freaky footwear into his street style instead of strictly wearing them in a sporty context. A five finger with a blazer is exactly the type of nonsensical juxtaposition that I live for. I'm also obviously partial to this aesthetic, as it proves yet again that my highly controversial water shoe summer forecast is nowhere near as far-fetched as so many of you seem to believe. All of these shoes exist on a continuum with those mesh slip-ons by the row, and you cannot convince me otherwise. As we close out this month's installment, I wanted to highlight one last fun little trend I've noticed that I'm excited to see develop. As it turns out, Justin Bieber might have actually been onto something with those pants that are twice the length of his actual legs, as it appears that celebrity fashion is having a bit of a Stretch Armstrong moment. Amy Taylor of Emile and the Sniffers, who I previously praised for her whoopee cushion matching set, did a cover shoot for Vogue Portugal this month wearing a two-story pair of jeans by fashion brand company that the Biebs is going to immediately add to cart. And while not trouser-based, Chappell Roan gave Rapunzel a run for her money in the music video for her song The Subway, getting dragged down the street by her extra long hair extensions. I think the comically extended toe box on those Marc Jacobs shoes I previously showed you also fits nicely into this fashion moment. All of these silhouettes feel to me like a natural progression from the extremely oversized geometric dresses we saw out there during awards season. Instead of taking up space horizontally, clothes, accessories, and wigs are now extending vertically, transforming the wearer into a sort of giantess or fairy tale figure. And much like the visible period trend from earlier, this too feels like a gesture towards women dramatically and practically taking up space in a political climate attempting to squeeze them out. Okay, so concludes this alarming recap of celebrity stylings from the month of July. If you were charmed and/or repulsed by the many atrocities I've shown you here today, the only cure for what ails you is to like, subscribe, sign up for a membership, and then call every person you know to rave about this little thing called I Heart Mess. Thanks again to my co-pilot through these toxic tundras, the wing beneath my hideous wings, Ruth Ann Harnish. If you want even more of my tomfoolery, you can always sign up for my weekly Substack newsletter at iheartmess.com. The link will be in the caption below. I'll see you back here next month with even more salient thoughts on ludicrous apparel. Until then, bye.